True Sound Studios is in your ears.
Alright guys, so welcome back to building the new True Sound Studios. So today I'm going to give you a tour of the entire studio. It has been fully framed out for all the acoustic treatment. So really the next step after I show you this is I'm going to start putting in all the insulation, and then I can start covering this with fabric. So let's just real quick look at this front wall now that this is fully done. I finished all the supporting framing for these big monitors. These are the ones that I built myself. These are dual 8-inch speakers. These are soffit mounted, meaning they're in the wall. And the whole point of doing this is really to try to stop the resonance from the cabinet from being heard. Actually, one of the only things I still have to do, though, is I need to buy some plywood to be able to fully box this out and seal this up. And then you just put some insulation or some sort of foam inside of it to just dampen it even further. But besides that, got all of the supporting pieces. These are all fully framed out. Now I have these like large openings in the top here, which will be covered with fabric. But, you know, I'm thinking maybe I'll do some sort of more artsy looking quadratic diffusion or something like that. Maybe those skyline diffusers that use those 1 by 1 inch pieces of wood. So that's what might go up there. As of for right now, though, it's probably just going to be fabric. And then on this main wall here, I just added this because I needed to find out where the middle of where I was going to be putting the TV, so I could mount the TV on this wall. So there's going to be a 50-inch TV, which will act as like my main computer monitor. And then these two pieces of wood up here are for the two 24-inch monitors for the security system. This one will be just to monitor just what's in the live room since there is no windows in here. And then this one will be for the whole security system for the rest of the house. Finished up all the wiring. I actually added even more wiring, and we could maybe talk about that later, just with the LED lighting, nothing audio related. So yeah, so now that this wall is finally done, we can move on to the side walls. So let's go ahead and check out those. You know, not a ton has changed here. Still have the same splayed walls. You can probably see a little bit better now on the ground. This goes this way, this one comes this way, and this one comes back out. Now that is one of the things that I did add is all the pieces of lumber on the bottom and those 2x2s on the very top. And the reason for that is because when you obviously put all the insulation in here, you need to wrap it with fabric. That's how you cover it all up. And you have to have a place to be able to staple. So obviously you need two sides, but you also need a place for the top to staple in and the bottom so you can really stretch that fabric to make it look nice and flat. I've also added the boxes for all of the wiring down here, and they all the boxes had to be on an angle, you know, to follow the same angle of the wall, which did make it a little tricky. So I ended up nailing them into place and then bending them and then using a shim to be able to, you know, change the angle so it wasn't totally flat because it does need to follow that wall. And then like this cable here is for the security camera that will actually be inside of the studio, and I still haven't found a place for it. It'll probably go right around here so that I can see the whole studio, but I don't know. Anyways, one of the last things I added was this big thick piece of lumber. This is 5/4 pine. It's 8 inches thick. 8 inches wide, and it's roughly an inch thick. And that is there for a couple reasons. Number one, obviously it kind of ends the wall and creates a little bit of a, you know, a little bit more of a design to it. Number two, it's a place for all my white hanging lights. Now I'm going to actually show you guys how I'm building those. And then last, it's also a great place to put LED strip lights, which I'll show you in a second. I ran those on this side, and essentially this wall is exactly the same on the other side of the room. Same angles, same everything. And so now I'm going to go ahead and turn off all the white lights, and I'll just show you guys really quick. That's the only LED strips that I have up. Specifically, these are the 50/50 model of LEDs. They are much brighter than, you know, some of your standard cheaper LEDs, but definitely well worth the price. I think I got 32 feet for about $25 with the controller and the power supply. And obviously, as usual, you can, you know, change the different colors or make them fade. And obviously this provides nothing more than just nice looking accent lighting at the top of the wall here, which I love. And this is only one of 4 different areas that these LED strips are going to be in. Okay, so this is on the other side of the control, and this is the other side wall. And above here is just all the switches to turn on all the lights. And I made this area just for all of the LED power supplies. Now, there's actually 5 different power supplies that will go in here. They're all powered by this outlet, and these outlets are actually controlled by some of the switches above. So I try to really make it easy on myself this time, and maybe I'll make some shelves or areas to be able to hang all these power supplies in. At the bottom here, there's a bunch of DC jacks. You can just very simply plug in the power supply to whatever LED strip set it needs to go to and get power from up top here. And the reason I did this is because I used to bury the power supplies in the walls, and always they're all soldered together. So when the power supply went bad, you had to cut open the wall and desolder the power supplies, and just made it a pain. So this way it was nice and easy. Secondly, because I would bury them, the power supplies heat up, they don't last as long. So this time I got this perforated steel plate, so this will cover it but still allow really good airflow to make sure that those power supplies don't overheat and don't just burn out too quickly. Okay, so now moving on to the back of the control room. So obviously the speakers will be firing this way. Quite a big array of different things that are going on here. So in this big opening and this big opening will be 4 Prime 13 quadratic diffusers. So that's going to fill up both of these, we'll call them bays. At the bottom here, this is going to be all absorption, and I'm going to be putting that thermofiber mineral wool in here. So a little bit of low end absorption, but mainly more for like the mids. And this is also my video desk in between these little bump out things. This is all my video desk. There's going to be all storage here. That's where I'm going to put all the microphones, all the stuff. Above is 5 LED lights. These are, I think, 9 watts, so it's like, I think, a 60 watt equivalent. So I got 5 of those that'll help light up this whole desk area, and that's the area that I do the videos where I show you guys how to connect or use certain things where I'm not showing you something on the DAW. Over here, this is line inputs and outputs that are run all the way back to the other side of the studio. These right here, these are actually LED ties, as well as LED over here to be able to light up these quadratic diffusers, to make them look cool. Over here, this is the light switches for this. So one switch will turn on these 5 LEDs, and the other will turn on all the LEDs that uplight this top area, and also that will control the lights for the quadratic diffusers. Okay, so if we move to the ends, both ends are identical, and the top half here, this is essentially going to be one big bass trap, like a super chunk. Going to be using R30 insulation, fiberglass insulation to fill in this top half. The bottom half here is going to be one of the Acoustic Field's diaphragmatic absorbers. They are really massive and big. As you can see, this big void is for that. They use this carbon technology, and we'll probably get into that in another video. So there's going to be 2 of them back here just to help out with some more of the pressure issues that's going to go on in this control room. And then what's going up top in there, I'm not really sure. I might just build a couple little small acoustic panels for up top. So this back area is what I've been calling the video production area, and that's what it's going to be. So obviously it acts as a whole bunch of acoustic diffusion and absorption and all that, but it also doubles as a video production desk. All right, guys, so we are now in the live room, and just to kind of switch up these terms, I'm no longer going to call this the live room or the drum room anymore, because realistically, this is a vocal booth. That's what I'm going to use it for 99% of the time. So vocal booth. So we are now in the vocal booth. You can see back here, This is that closet area that at some point might turn into a bathroom. As me and my wife talk about it more and more, it kind of seems like a better idea. So nothing too special that happened in here besides drywall on the ceilings and the walls. Got some of these like square LED lights for in here and right here. And then this will be a switch to turn on the lights. And also there's a headphone send, and then also there's a mic cable. So, you know, if I ever wanted to turn this room into like a little separate ISO booth, I guess it could kind of be. Okay, so if we look on top, you can see here, now this piece of drywall is just up here because I needed a little spot for my laser level, but this is what it's going to be. This is like a storage area, but it also, because these surfaces are so close together, this might turn into maybe an acoustic diffuser in the back there to make this like a little bit more of a roomy sound. I don't really know yet. Definitely want to play around with this area, but the main purpose is to be able to put drums, acoustic drums up here, and just have a big spot for them. But this will be pretty much the storage area for everything else that doesn't have to do with vocals. Now, I'm not going to store like guitar cabs or anything up there. That'll all be stored on the vocal booth floor, because though, you know, this is a vocal booth, I'm sure I'll still end up recording electric guitars because I still like to run an amp in a cab. Obviously I won't be tracking like vocals and guitars together. Now, I'm only at the beginning stages here. I haven't really finished up a ton of it, but just let me show you really quick the idea. And then we have another splayed wall, and you can see I've used these 2x2s, and that's how I've mounted them to the wall. I found the studs where they were behind the wall, and I drilled into the 2x2 that goes right into the stud of the wall, mounted those, and then all my 2x4s are then mounted to that. And that's essentially how I'm building all this acoustic treatment. That splayed wall then continues over this door, which will also be splayed. It's not right now because I actually need to add a little bit more material here. And then we get to yet another corner bass trap. Once again, 16 inches by, this one is actually 21. So it's a little bit bigger. Another way of how I'm mounting some of these things, you can see this is a 2x4, and obviously we have a gap here between the wall. So I've just been using these mending plates and just bending them a little bit, kind of making my own brackets. Found the stud right here, which is the reason why I can't really see it in this light. Barely see it right here. That's the little bubble of where the two pieces of drywall came together, and the tape's right behind there. So I know that a stud is right here, and then I just bend that bracket and then screw it into here, and you have a nice strong support. Now, this is actually only supporting fabric and insulation, so it doesn't have to be ridiculously strong. I'm just using 2x4s because it was cheaper than buying pine. In the vocal booth, it's going to be really kind of set up for vocals too. So it's not going to be super, super dead like my last vocal booth. This is going to have just a little bit of life to it. It's going to be very well controlled, and it's actually going to have some quadratic diffusion, which I never even had in my last studio. So anyways, if we just kind of start with these side walls here, framed out essentially the same, just like the control room was. We got the big 8-foot high, and then we got this ledge with the lighting, which is only one option of lighting in here, which is these LED bulbs. Every one of these corners has a bass trap in it, so both of these are bass traps. That up there, once again, is the storage area. Back here, this is like the storage closet, I guess you would call it. And obviously I got all the lights on now. You know, just give you some simple light in here. So something I thought of just at the last second was to put in these piezoelectric elements. So it's essentially a drum trigger, but it kind of acts as a microphone, and they actually use them in really inexpensive speakers as tweeters. Now what'll happen is, because this whole piece of drywall is kind of like a diaphragm of a speaker, it'll be picked up by this piezoelectric element, and the same thing happens over here. These are both the same size walls, so this might turn into something cool, like, you know, room mics or something. And then a pair of XLR cables just runs down to the patch bay. So I don't know if it's going to sound good, cool, whatever, but at least it's up here after I bury it in, insulation and fabric and stuff. If it's cool, it's awesome. If not, it's no big a deal. These things are only about $1 a piece. But it is a cool idea because you might get some really cool room sounds out of it with insulation in front of it. Maybe it'll be really bassy. I have really no idea. Like I said, last minute thought, but it might be really cool. Okay, so the other side of the vocal booth, this area once again is going to be another one of those Prime 13 quadratic diffusers. This will just be 2 of them. So we'll have 2 in this area here. Down here, this is not going to be one of the Acoustic Fields diaphragmatic absorption. This is just going to be a membrane bass trap just to help control the low end even of a vocal. I know that kind of sounds ridiculous, but the low end range of a vocal does kind of make it have the fullness to it. And if you watch any of the Acoustic Fields videos, which if you haven't, I really would recommend, ton of information. That's what they've been doing for their vocal booths. Quadratic diffusion, and then a lot of some sort of bass trapping that's more than just insulation cavities. Okay, so they're using the membrane traps or their diaphragmatic absorption. So that is really kind of it. The rest of this room will be all of that mineral wool, and then I'll put fabric over it all, and then I'm going to add these 1/4-inch birch strips to bring some of that life back. Additionally, I will put some sort of acoustic treatment on the ceiling. That is one thing that I can honestly say I really don't know what I'm going to do with the ceiling yet. If we just quickly look at where the HVAC comes through, so that's the output and that's the return. So they probably wasn't the best location for them just because of all these lights that are here. So I'm gonna have to try to figure out a way to, work around that. And then last but not least, I have a whole bunch of these LED wires. So these bass traps are going to have, I'm not really sure yet, maybe some sort of wood artwork on the top and bottom, and then maybe in the middle, some sort of translucent plexiglass that will kind of act as a reflector a little bit, but of course be LED lit. And that'll happen in all 4 bass traps in the corner of this room. And I will have uplighting on the top of this white piece of wood up here that will uplight the entire ceiling with the 16 color LEDs, so that you can really kind of pick and choose the type of lighting that you like in here. That is one of the things that I really think is really important, is to be able to set the mood that the particular singer or the vocalist wants to have while they're tracking vocals. Okay, so that is all the acoustic treatment for the control room and the vocal booth here. So I'm sure things will change, as we get a little further along. Now, I just had my electrical inspection because I had the electrical rough before I put all the drywall in, which is typically how it goes. But because I had all the electrical on the inside of the drywall, I had technically, I guess you could say, my second electrical rough for the studio here. Fortunately, I passed this time without any issues. I think, I went to school for electrical engineering and for residential wiring, so, this stuff really, really makes sense to me. So no issues, which means really the next step is to go ahead and fill these all with insulation and, start going ahead and seeing how these rooms respond with all the acoustic treatment. Okay guys, so there you go. That is how far I am with the studio. The next video you guys are gonna see all the insulation and how I did all that, how I calculated it, measured that after it all went in, and I'll have covered it all with fabric, and I think at this point you will truly see how True Sound Studios is gonna look. So guys, as always, if you guys wanna stay up to date, like literally every single day I post on Instagram, go ahead and follow True Sound Studios at True Sound Studios on Instagram. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video. So thank you for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, click that like button and consider subscribing for more content. So not only do I make YouTube videos, but I also produce tracks and I can mix and master your music. So once again, thank you for watching this video. I'm Weezna, and True Sound Studios is in your ears.